Hey, this is Leif Gamford. I played the cash register thief in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek Podcast.
Hey, this is Rich McDonald, and I play Commander David Mason on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And you're listening to Everything Geek Podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldovar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek Podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek Podcast.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek Podcast. I'm your host Ruari, and joining me is co-host Dan.
Hello there.
Good to have you on again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And also joining us is very special guest actor Theodus Crane, who played Big Tiny in the Walking Dead TV show. So how are you, Theodus?
Doing very, very well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, glad to have you on the podcast. It's a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get right into the questions. So my first question for you is, how did you first decide you wanted to be an actor?
Well, I've always performed. I've always been involved in just about anything artistic. But in 2008, I got my first paying gig. It was a play called Hair. And it was the 40th anniversary of the theater and the 30th anniversary run of the show. And that was the first time I'd actually gotten paid to act. And that was the first thing I really found that I loved doing, that I could stand doing for money. Because most things I enjoy doing, I don't want to do for money. So it was something that I could, see myself doing as a career. And so I just, dove headfirst into it, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it's really cool, very interesting. And my second question is, how did you first get the role of Big Tiny on The Walking Dead?
It was a really quick process. My agent sent me, we had gotten an audition request from the production, and they were in Atlanta, and I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. And so I just recorded an audition and sent it in, and it didn't have to do a callback or anything. It just, booked it. And so went on to Atlanta and went and filmed.
Nice. And were you a fan of the show before you got the role?
I actually hadn't seen it beforehand. I'm kind of glad. It's one of those things where you go in, it's a really popular show, and so to I guess in my mind to add value, I'll bring something new. I didn't have any real idea of the tone or pace of the show, and so I wanted to bring something that was a little bit unique.
Yeah, it's very interesting. My fourth question is, what was it like filming Big Tiny's death scene? Did they explain to you how he was going to die before it happened?
Yeah, they explained it, and they showed me because they made a bust of like from about the stomach up of me with a smashed in head. And so they brought me in. They didn't have to do like a mold or anything. They just took pictures. And about a day or two later, I'll get on set, and there's just not mini me, but like just a version of me with a smashed in head. So I had a good idea of how it was going to go and all that stuff. But it's very disconcerting to see a mangled version of yourself just sitting there staring at you. You know.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
But it was the thing that I was really impressed with. As much as upsetting as it was a very, very good likeness. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have to admit, I remember before I watched the episode, I had read online somewhere about how you died. Like I knew that Thomas was going to smash your head in, but I thought I was going to give him a few whacks with the baseball bat, or whatever it was. But what I didn't expect was a completely mangled head. That's what caught me by surprise. I was like, whoa. Okay, that was a bit further.
Yeah. And it's funny because they told him to just go until they said cut. And so when you see him just beating, and they're just spraying the blood on him or whatever, like he's sitting in his mind, he's waiting for him to say cut. He was actually exhausted by the time they finished.
Well, I think that's actually noticeable because there is quite a bit of sweat on the actor after he's finished.
Well, most of that sweat is fake. That was the one thing I did not enjoy about the experience. Like after each take, hair and makeup would just come and they just spritz this stuff, this like water and spray it and put oil all over. And it's like every single time, I'm like, look, I'm sweaty, it's hot, it's cool. Like I don't care. We gotta make it look good. And so every single time it was like a layer of just moisture they put on. It was the only thing that was just a miserable part of the experience. But other than that, it was great. But yeah, all that sweat you see, most of that sweat you see is fake.
Very interesting. And my last question is, do you have any upcoming acting roles or other projects you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, actually, there's a movie coming out this October, the end of October. I'm not sure when it's going to be out in England. It might be a simultaneous run, but it's called The Starving Games. They spoofed the Hunger Games, and that's gonna be funny. I enjoyed working on that, and it was a lot of fun to film. And the end of the year on ABC Family, there's a Hallmark movie made called Christmas in Conway. Andy Garcia, Mandy Moore, Mary Louise Parker, Riley Smith, myself. It's a really good movie. It's a tearjerker. Like it's a serious tearjerker. Like have your Kleenex ready if you watch it. And in June, a movie comes out called Motel. I had the pleasure of working with Robert De Niro and John Cusack, and they were really great to work with. And that's Robert De Niro, John Cusack, Dominic Purcell from Prison Break, Crispin Glover, Sticky Fingers, a lot of Martin Kleba, a lot of really good actors, and then I get shot. So yeah.
Those all sound very interesting. I will definitely be keeping an eye out for those. Yeah. They sound really great. Thank you very much, Theodus, for answering my questions, and I'll hand you over to Dan now.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Theodus, or should I call you Mr. Tiny?
You can call me Theo.
Okay, Theo. Dan here. My first question is, what was your reaction when you first walked on the Walking Dead set?
Well, I was relieved. It's in Sonoya, Georgia, which is an hour south of Atlanta, and it's a really small town. So I was lost for like 45 minutes. So when I got on set, it was more relief than anything.
I didn't expect that. My second question is, do you think that Big Tiny was infected indeed and would have turned if he survived?
Honestly, I don't. I think he would have survived. I think he would have, like, if he wouldn't have gotten killed the way he did, I think he would have been all right. It would have been another one of those miraculous Herschel kind of deals. But I actually, like, I wanted, this is the thing, like, it's fine if he dies, right? Mm-hmm. But I wanted it to be where they quarantine him in a cell or whatever, and then he turned into a walker. Like, I think that would be an amazing sight,
That would actually have been a really awesome scene. They could have just, kept Big Tiny alive and just studied, him. I don't know.
Exactly.
Again, bygones are bygones, sadly. And
Yeah, nothing I can do about it now.
yeah,
I actually ran into Greg Nicotero in San Diego for Comic Con, and I brought it up. I was like, I think it'd have been really cool if I just turned into a zombie in a cell instead of getting killed that way. And he reminded me that it's all up to the writers. So
yeah.
nothing he could do.
It's like Judgment Day by writers.
Yeah, exactly.
My third question: what fate would you pick for Big Tiny if you had to choose? Going out in style, being eaten by Walker, or live on with the main cast but be an outcast?
I think like the name of the game of that show is the fact that nobody's safe. Everybody's gonna die. Everybody, it's just a matter of when and how, right? So if he would have died fighting, fighting
Yeah.
zombies, he's already scratched. He's starting to like get the sweats and hallucinates. Okay, he's gonna turn. Well, let me just fight until it's over,
Yeah.
And so there could be the scene where because one thing I would change, I would take that hammer away and give him something useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a formula for disaster, man. It's a big dude with a hammer. Every horror movie, anytime the big dude with a hammer comes out, he's going to die first.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I've noticed that The Walking Dead does not stray from some cliches that have been really tired.
Yeah, and I think it's really the one reason they kind of had to do that one though is because there is a character they were going to introduce that is a big dude with a hammer that doesn't die immediately.
Oh.
So
Cute.
Tyrese, he comes in, he has a hammer, and that's his thing. It works. So everything that I read in the script, when I read it, I wasn't upset by it because it made sense. It's like, okay, well, this makes perfect sense. I could see why they would do it that way. Well, let's just go out there and die, as disgracefully as I can.
Well, thank you very much for answering my questions. I will hand back the steering wheel, per se, back to Rory.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
So now we're taking call-ins or questions in the live chat for any of our listeners, and also reading out some questions on Facebook that we got during the week or a few weeks ago. So we do have a few questions from one of our followers, Karna Sharky. His first question is, what was it like working on a set with zombies wandering around? Did it help get in the right mindset for the show?
It did. It really did. Because my natural fear is of being chased. I hate being chased, and so I just use that to my advantage while I was on set. I use that as I freak myself out a little bit, but it wasn't so much the zombies; it was more being chased by anyone really. I'm kind of used to zombies. I'm used to blood and gore. So, and a lot of those guys, like when they cut, they were young kids, so it wasn't as intimidating.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And his second question is also, are you disappointed you didn't last too long? What do you think of the way your character died?
Honestly, like I said before, like once I read it and it made sense, it was like, okay, well, you can't be too mad at that. That was that, it fit. It was the way it was supposed to be. And I'm glad I was able to play that part and fill that role. And it'd be great to be, a regular on the show, but it's not it wasn't my time for that. But there are more things coming down the pipeline, and I'll have more of an opportunity at some point to fulfill my dreams of at least going out like like Schwarzenegger style.
I actually do have to admit, earlier today, I want to rewatch the 2 episodes Big Tiny was in to get in the right frame for this podcast, and I managed to watch the first one, the one he's actually only in at the end, really. And then I tried watching the second one and only managed to get halfway before we had to, prepare for the podcast, essentially. So it didn't get all done. I think I'm almost at the part where Big Tiny dies, actually. So, yeah. But, yeah, it was good to at least watch part of the episode anyway to get a good frame of mind for the podcast, for this interview anyway.
I actually had to go back and watch it because as an actor, you have to have your reel and your headshots and all that stuff. So you have to go through and watch your footage and see what you're going to use. And watching it, I don't know. There are a couple things that I would have loved to have done, more of. I wish like there was more kill scenes, like more just zombie fighting scenes, like filler fluff stuff. But and it's like going back and watching it again, like I don't know, it's interesting the stuff that you don't catch on to at first. It's the way they do things, especially with the knowledge of the season. Now as you've seen the season go all the way through. But the way they wrote it and played it out, like I really have to. I like the way they thought the whole thing out. You can tell there was a lot of thought going into it. And I like the way they thought it out. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe that's all of our questions for you, Theodus. So thank you very much again for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you on the podcast.
It's my pleasure. And I'm sorry. I had a question for you, and I'm trying to get it together. I'm in the middle of a con, so my head is kind of scattered. I think I'm gonna let it go and just ask you later. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can talk to you again sometime down the line on the show.
Absolutely. I'll definitely have more to talk about. More things coming down the pipeline soon. So yeah, be ready for that.
Nice for updates.
Definitely we will. Yeah. So talk to you some other time then. See ya.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Moving on to our first discussion topic. Now, I'm not sure how much you know about this video game. I have to confess.
I do know a lot, yes. Well, okay, I'm not wanting to say I know a lot, but yes, I know what you are.
You know what I mean. You know more than me.
Well,
That's what
I'm
I'm saying.
oblivious. I mean, the whole world knows it, but I'm gonna be oblivious. I'm gonna say, do a what's that? I haven't heard of this game. It's a small title. I have no time for small titles.
Yeah. So, of course, naturally, we're speaking about Grand Theft Auto 5, which came out during the week and is singularly the game I've heard the most about recently.
It's been overhyped, of course. It's been talked about. It's like basically it took over the scene at this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's kind of funny how many different opinions there are. Lots of people are like, oh, you just do the same stuff all again. And I was like, well, there's a lot of content in this game. I mean, I haven't got any of the Grand Theft Auto, so I can't decide either way. But yeah, it's not one I've really ever cared for or gotten excited about, honestly.
Well, okay, this is the thing. I'm not sure who's gonna say, oh, it's the same things you do before, like it's like type missions or something. But it's Grand Theft Auto. That's like saying, well, it's another Need for Speed game. You just drive cars. It's like, yeah, what do you expect? It's a car game. It's driving fast cars and racing. It's a racing game. This is the same with GTA. It's like you are a person or in this case there are three people. I really like Trevor. He's really over the top and awesome. But the thing is, there's a lot of, yes, it looks like there's it's said to have 100 hours of content, which is not small potatoes. It's set in one of my favorite locations from the GTA universe. And saying that, oh, you're doing the same old things. Well, it's a GTA game. Yeah, you're gonna be doing the things like robbing stores, being betrayed, driving cars. But that's the awesome of GTA. And it just looks amazing as a bonus. It's awesome. It looks amazing, and it's no wonder it hit 1 billion sold copies over 3 days. I mean, I think I think this is a thing that deserves more $1 billion of sales and revenue than, for instance, something like Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
Oh, good. But you said a movie instead of a video game.
Well, it's pretty big because
it definitely shows how big the Grand Theft Auto fan base is anyway.
Well, it's not only the fan base, but it's a brand name that has caused and it's proven itself to be good quality entertainment and fun. So basically, it's natural to have such revenue. Basically, come in and just for 3 days, that's just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to our next topic, sticking with the Walking Dead theme, and now with some discussion topics. Throughout the week there was a couple of interesting announcements for it. The first of all was they have officially casted another comic character. Christian Serratos, known from some of the Twilight movies, will be playing Rosita Espinosa, a comic character first introduced in issue 53 of the comics, I believe, from The Walking Dead. And she will be playing Rosita as a recurring character in season 4, not a main character, but a character that will be appearing at least throughout several of the episodes in the series. So, what do you make of that? You probably know more about the character than I do.
I'm ashamed to say it, but I do not.
Okay.
Because like with Game of
I was guessing because you're more of a comic book fan than me.
well, the thing is, I'm a comic book fan of comics that would not spoil a movie for me. Like, I love my Batman, I love my Iron Man, I love my Spider-Man, and all their villains of awesomeness. Oh yeah. The problem is that the TV series, like for instance, like Game of Thrones, is based on a previously existing source, and I try to stay away from those until the series is like really far ahead or is over, so I could then go back and check the comics, so I don't get spoilers in advance. And the upcoming companion series,
Yeah. You always love going onto the other parts of each topic, don't you?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Okay, you can say that, but that was bigger news for me basically because that's like saying because we discuss Walking Dead a lot, and this is just because of one series that has a normal cast. And imagine it's like having we're gonna discuss twice the amount of entertainment from the apocalypse world of The Walking Dead. So I'm really curious because as much as casting a new character is awesome, I'm still this upcoming series. I'm really interested in one main thing. Is it gonna be somehow intertwined, and is it gonna like require people to have seen the other series, or is it gonna be like independent entirely with nothing? Like it's not set in the south of the U.S. It's like set in Europe.
I'm not exactly sure.
Would you like to see like a Walking Dead series set in London or like the
No, because that would mean my people are being demolished.
Well, that sounds awesome. It's better than nothing. Well, because that's the thing with The Walking Dead. I mean, aside from the South and the U.S., yeah, we know that the whole world might have been affected, but I'm curious to see how the other places in the world are dealing with the problem.
Because I remember one of the episodes I watched today with Big Tiny, they were like, half of the population must have been infected by now, maybe more. And I'm like, well, are they talking about the US population or the whole world population? But anyway, getting back to what you were asking, I'm not quite sure about the answer to what you're asking. All I'm really certain about what Robert Kirkman was saying, the creator of The Walking Dead, of course, in relation to the companion series, is that unlike with The Walking Dead itself, because even though, of course, The Walking Dead TV show does go on a few tangents and changes things from the comics, the overall plot line they try and keep to The Walking Dead. What Robert Kirkman did say is that he likes how he doesn't have the boundaries of trying to keep the plots to the comics, and that it gives him a lot more creativity, which I thought was a very interesting comment, in my opinion, that Robert made.
So you would suggest that maybe that he would go off and do something more independent of the comics in this companion?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
well, I hope
he doesn't have any material to try and base it off completely, that sort of thing.
Well, the guy created an entire beloved comic book series, so I'm sure that he could think of something awesome to base off a series.
Definitely.
Original characters would be awesome, and like characters that we've seen. I know this is like a nitpick, but if it's set in the same universe, I mean, would it kill like to have a guest appearance from characters that we know and love? It's like expanded like before.
Because did one of the Walking Dead video games have Glenn make a...
Yeah, the first episode.
Yes, I know some facts. I'm doing well.
Wait, what?
I know some facts. I'm doing very well.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting with Glenn in there, and still, it would be awesome to see some of those characters make it into the series as well, the main one.
By the way, Dan,
But
by the way, Dan, in regard to your comment about using London for the companion series, one of our live listeners, Jess, is saying use Austria. We have many mountains and fields.
Setting it in a different country, but still, like, because my bad. London has been overused because I mean, what you have 28 days later, that was in London.
Hey, use Dublin. It's a good county.
And even Austria. I mean, for God's sakes, even Switzerland would be interesting because, like, trying to survive the zombie apocalypse by climbing the Alps.
Now I'm gonna have to think about that overnight.
Yeah, think about it. When the zombie apocalypse hits, what will Rory Williamson do to survive the apocalypse? Climb the Alps. Yeah, imagine that. Rory in get up gear and just climbing up, like, packs his figure collection and his like food, and then climbs Alps and survives the apocalypse until he's like 60, and then just ends it all with a quiet book by his bed in the Alps and just says, "Goodbye, cruel world." And
a book is going to kill me.
Well, after 60 years of seclusion, people go nuts. Sorry. Well, you saw what happened in season 3 of The Walking Dead. I mean, you know.
Which one?
You know which one.
A lot of things happened.
The episode with the character from season 1 that we saw that had lost his son.
Oh yes, Morgan. Yeah.
I was trying to be a Buddha because I mean, it's not very fact, but there are some people who have not seen season 3 still.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
So yeah, of course, I'm just like you. I'm very excited for this The Walking Dead companion series. Obviously, I don't actually think it'll be called The Walking Dead, but it's companion series to that show, which should be very interesting. I'm very excited to hear more news about it. And of course, the casting of the comic character Rosita Espinosa. You know, I mean, not much of a comic reader myself. I did, when I heard the announcement, I did a bit of research on the character on the Walking Dead wiki. Mm-hmm. To me, it doesn't seem like she's really a huge character. Like she has a couple of companions with her who are more main characters. One of them, I think, actually becomes Rick's right-hand man at some point. But she seems more of a secondary one, like who's around but not always featured a lot. I don't know. That's just what it seemed like to me from what I read, but no, I could be completely wrong. But what I do have to bring up though is a month or two ago, they actually, maybe even earlier, but definitely since we started the podcast, they did at one point say they were looking to cast 3 new characters for The Walking Dead. So with Rosita's one of them, the other 2 could probably easily be her companions, and they're looking to cast them as well. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, moving on from The Walking Dead discussion topics, there has been some new Star Wars Episode 7 rumors as per every week. There will be Yeah, and I know Dan, as much of a Star Wars fan as he is, just can't handle all these rumors.
No, it's not about handling. It's like something.
Hearing.
Go on.
So,
See.
yeah. First of all, they might be doing some filming in New Mexico. Probably not a lot, because most of the filming, I'm guessing, will be taking place in the UK and Pinewood Studios, as has been announced, the home of the James Bond franchise as well. And I think it was mentioned some would be in Los Angeles as well, because well, that's close to J.J. Abrams' home, and he's already unhappy that he has to, that there's filming outside of the US at all. So might be some in New Mexico, might be a new planet or something. If it was a new planet, which planet would you hope it is?
Well, one thing I know I want it not to be, and I hope it's not Tatooine. I know that New Mexico is
that one makes
because
sense.
yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying, well, it could be Tatooine. Well, sure, yeah, because the Star Wars universe and the Star Wars writers and creators are usually predictable. Because over the years, one thing that I've really seen like being done in a stupid way, and I'm saying to myself, okay, then how does Asajj Ventress, Papanoida, Greedo, even the Star Wars The Old Republic is there. Uh, Everybody goes to Tatooine, and it just gets the feeling that's like, that's not the most remote planet in the galaxy that nobody cares about. That's like the meeting place of every single major character in the galaxy.
It's like actually saying, Ireland is the home of all the bars and pubs in the world. So let's go to Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah,
Because essentially that's where all the aliens end up if it's not Jabba's palace, which is also on Tatooine.
yeah. Even though if I had to change something, um, instead of putting it on Endor and ruining the franchise with the Ewoks, I would actually prefer the second Death Star to be over Tatooine, and it would destroy Tatooine and would never allow that planet to exist again. Because I'm still annoyed that, from what we saw, that Alderaan is actually a beautiful planet that got wasted. It could have been expanded upon really awesomely. But why Tatooine so much? I don't know. I know it's Luke's planet, Anakin's home planet, but again, I'm tired of it. I hope it's a new planet. I hope it's something. It's a new planet, but we've seen this planet, and I saw, that, I just hope it's some other new planet because there are a lot of desert, awesome planets in the Star Wars universe.
Some theories I've actually heard myself, and it was discussed on one of the other podcasts I do, is that maybe it could be Ryloth. I mean, what do you think of that? Could be an interesting location for it.
I would love to see Ryloth again because I love seeing it in the Clone Wars with the awesome Wat Tambor again, except it is not Jar Jar Wink Wink. But again, uh, it would be an interesting location because Twi'leks are really mainstream Star Wars stuff, basically. But I, I don't know. I don't see much of a reason because one of the I'm not sure because it's the home to the Twi'leks, but other than that, I don't see why would Luke or any of the other cast members from this future movie would go to Ryloth. I mean, I know it's a stupid thing to say, but I would see other planets that are more important to the overall franchise or the Force in general that would make more sense to be featured in the future of the Star Wars saga.
Hmm.
You know.
Moving on to the next rumor, but out of all the rumors today, it's actually probably the least rumorish one, is that actor Robert Englund, close friend of Mark Hamill, is reporting that Mark Hamill is now going to the gym for training for episode 7. So what do you make of that? It would make sense though, because when you think about it, I mean, it's been officially stated by Hamill as well before that, because of Robert Englund, that he actually got into Star Wars in the first place, because Robert had auditioned for a role and had been rejected, and he asked Mark, "Have you tried out for the latest sci-fi gig, Star Wars, they're calling it?" And Mark's like, "No, I haven't heard about it." And Robert's like, "You should audition for it. Might as well give it a try." And well, Hamill got the role, as we know. And played the pivotal character of the original trilogy. So
I did not
yeah,
know that.
now you do.
Yeah,
You learn
it's nice.
today.
So Freddy Krueger actually influenced the Star Wars franchise in general. I don't know. I'm still more excited about Mark Hamill being in the Clone Wars than this. I'm not saying much, but yeah.
Only natural for you, of course.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry.
pretty excited about that as well. But yeah. So moving on to another rumor is that the Millennium Falcon and Mos Eisley Cantina will return in episode 7. I think what we can both agree on is that the Millennium Falcon is a no-brainer to appear.
Who's stopping them from having descendants of Han and Leia, acquiring the Millennium Falcon as part of Han's will to pass it on to the next generation, basically. Sorry, I don't want to say that because it sounds like Star Wars, the next generation. Well, okay, that would be a freaking messed up title for episode 7. Yeah.
Star Wars, the next generation, trying to rip off Star Trek much.
Actually, that would actually be creepy and scary. But actually, I love Patrick Stewart, so who knows?
But you don't like Star Trek.
Yeah. Moving on. But most likely Cantina, as much as still, I think that with all these rumors, I mean, with everything that has surfaced, I think if we're gonna talk about episode 7, rumors, I think we should just make a section about this on the show, like, hello to Rumor Corner, the place where we just sit in a corner and discuss pointless rumors that have not been verified or based in reality, just been a word of mouth. Stay tuned for more. It's because aside from filming in 35mm film, and having more practical effects and John Williams composing the music, nothing from the action movie has been even hinted at from the officials like Kathleen Kennedy, the ruler of Lucasfilm, and anybody else close to her. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think the two, the Cantina, it's definitely not a no-brainer like the Millennium Falcon. It could happen because, it is such an iconic location that's both in A New Hope and the Clone Wars. It's been in a few episodes, so...
I don't want to talk about that. Because aside from Bounty, that Cantina has not appeared in any good episodes.
Yeah, I probably would have to agree with you on that one, but it's definitely a location many Star Wars fans know that we can definitely both agree on. But anyway, moving on, the last episode 7 rumor is that the planet, and this was actually a rumor that just came today even, is that the planet Korriban, home of the Sith, will be featured in the movie. And I would actually like to see that.
I would like to see it for a couple reasons, and I think it would be logical to see it. One, Korriban is mentioned and supposed to be featured in the bonus content of the Clone Wars. Two, it's a really major planet. It's basically, in my opinion, it should be more important than some other planets that have been featured in the films. And again, a desert planet was rumored to be based in New Mexico. So why? Because New Mexico has these weird, they're not weird. They're basically natural rock formations that look really epic. So basically, they could make a whole Valley of the Sith Lords in New Mexico, and it'll be a really awesome eventually if Disney decides to release the bonus content. Please Disney, please do. Do it soon. It'll be an interesting cross promotion, like when, for instance, when episode 1 in 3D was coming out, they released I know it's not directly linked, but was it weird that Season 4 of the Clone Wars was so saturated with Episode 1 hints, like Padme was wearing her Episode 1 outfit. There was the Gungans, Naboo, Tarpas. They mentioned the destruction of the droid control ship and so on. It would be awesome to have this Yoda arc, have Korriban, Yoda visited, we'd be, introduced to this planet, and then bam, it's in Episode 7, and it's like the prime location for the first film of the new trilogy. I know
Yeah, definitely.
it could be a nice connection.
Yeah, definitely be great, of course. Yeah, the fact that it is pretty likely we're getting Korriban in the Clone Wars bonus episodes.
Oh, that would be grand.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, seeing in episode 7 as well would be great, definitely. So yeah, that's all the episode 7 rumors. Sticking with Star Wars, there is reports / rumors that of a young Han Solo spin-off movie, and that the casting is starting for it. So what do you make of that?
I don't care. I don't care because I think there's only one character at this time that I would care to see a Star Wars movie spin-off, and that would be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes, Tikas, Star Wars, the untold story, or Star Wars Origins, Tikas Rising. It's like, yeah, I would love to see that, but again, that's something we discussed before on Facebook. Not every character is as marketable as Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, or Han Solo. So basically, you can't have a Tikas movie and expect to have like in revenue of 500 million, like what Avengers raked in, or even more. I mean, not that Avengers raked in 500 million; they raked over $1 billion, I think. But that's not the point. The point is, Han Solo. You can make a spin-off movie about almost every character because there's a lot of characters that have a lot of appearances in the Star Wars universe, but they have no like explanation what they were doing before that. But no, I would not want to see a Han Solo movie. I would prefer to see an Obi-Wan movie because that would make more sense. It would be more a lot cooler, and especially one thing that I would like to see because it only would make sense. The Star Wars Visionaries comic to be basically like the basis for this movie. Have Darth Maul finally be destroyed in a movie form because the Clones brought him back, opened a wound that did not need to be opened, and just finish him off in the in an epic movie. Because who would be a better challenge for a better enemy in a movie? Because even if you make this Han Solo movie, sure, you have Han Solo and he could meet Chewbacca in that movie, sure. But who would be the main villain? I mean, that's the thing. With an Obi-Wan movie, I can right away say that a Darth Maul rivalry in an Obi-Wan movie set between episode 3 and 4 would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, but I'd be interested, as we discussed before the episode, 3 dots interested, meaning about the Han Solo one. I mean, the rumors of that between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, which I think would be the best time for them to do it if they do it. I agree that I would rather see an Obi-Wan one. I think there's more story potential there anyway. Don't hate on me, Han Solo fans.
Like the Obi-Wan novel?
Yeah, exactly. I just think there'd be more potential for it, yeah. Like you said, I mean, considering the Clone Wars was cancelled and we probably won't see what was going to happen to Darth Maul in it, show it in movie form. Bring Ray Park, Ewan McGregor, all of them back and finish it off there. It'd be good to see, as long as they don't have Owen Lars kill Maul, because that I don't know. I wasn't really fond of that when I heard about it. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not really fond of the idea. I mean, I'm not gonna say no right away to the idea like you. I just think there is better potential elsewhere for a spin-off movie like that. Yeah, I think as well, aside from meeting Chewbacca, they could also show how he got the ship for Millennium Falcon from Lando, because that obviously happened before in New Hope. That's another potential. Like, I agree. I mean, they probably have to create a new villain, or one theory I actually uh, heard Boba Fett actor from the originals, Jeremy Bullock, absolute gentleman, say is if you think about it in one of the original trilogy movies, and I know you don't really think about them as much, but at one point Han Solo actually says the line "Boba Fett where?" I mean, realistically, wouldn't you think that saying something like that would mean he knew Boba from before? What if they had come across each other? Yeah, I really
No,
shouldn't get into this theory because
no.
I know Dad's not a fan of Boba Fett,
No,
so
no,
he
no,
wouldn't
no,
like that.
no, no. The thing is, why I say Boba Fett, where? Yeah, at that point when they're on the sail barge over the Sarlacc pit after the whole carbonite thing, I think Han Solo would know the name of the guy who tracked him down and put him in ice.
Fair enough, but I actually thought that might have been an Empire, but I don't know, that's just one thing
If
Jeremy said.
Han Solo if Han Solo mentioned like that.
Well, then again, Anne was in Carbonite for a long while.
Oh yeah, but they had a long ride and that stupid. If they could go on like talk about, yeah, I wouldn't imagine I would be back here. There's not much to say. It's like if you can get the that conversation idiocy, before dying, I'm pretty sure they could mention who captured who, or say who was the guy who captured him. I don't know. It's amazing how much time it's said in the EU that it passed between episode 5 and 6. uh, Something that the original trilogy is really bad at is basically showcasing time, because the Clone Wars, the prequels, blame them as much as you do, and say they're bad, they're whatever, even though Revenge of the Sith is awesome and genius and one of the best. It managed to portray the passage of time much better in this galaxy than episodes 4, 5, and 6. When I was little,
Dad, you've committed treason to the Star Wars fan base.
I don't care.
I know.
Because episodes 4, 5, and 6, when I was little, I didn't have the internet. I couldn't like check every detail, and they were not like places like Wikipedia where you could have a nice little compiled place to check them conveniently. And I didn't get the feeling because they didn't age much. There was not much feeling of like time has passed. Nobody has like aged anything because or changed much. It's like basically it's we're gonna find Han. And it's like in a week they find Han on Tatooine. I mean, it's like I think there were even jokes about this, about the Han capture. Like, yeah, we know exactly where Han is, but we're gonna spend a lot of time before we go rescue him. Again, something that I said. The prequels are better at showing the passage of time in the Star Wars galaxy than the original. And given how much time supposedly it was said to have passed between episodes 4, 5, and 6, I could imagine that maybe Han Solo met Boba Fett and he maybe was like, ooh, Ord Mantell, ooh, that bounty hunter on Ord Mantell. That alone could be a setting for a movie. I mean, I know it's stupid to say, but that line, because there have been stupider things to start basing a movie off of, and saying that little incident on Ord Mantell, they can make an entire movie of that. That could be a reference, a throwaway gag to a future movie, like a climactic battle on Ord Mantell between Han and Boba. I mean, because I think Ord Mantell was some unstable planet. It could be an epic climax or something that could be mentioned in Empire, and like retcon basically. I don't know. Still, but that's again me supporting the Han Solo thing or a Boba Fett movie.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the last of our discussion topics for tonight. So moving on to our weekly Name That Franchise and Geekly Trivia Questions sections. So of course, Name That Franchise, you have to mention, which I suppose you could say geek-related franchise, the following quote or moment of dialogue is from. You can mention it wherever in the live chat that this podcast is airing from, channel 1138, our YouTube channel, or post on our Facebook page. So here is the quote. So I have my flaws too. The difference is my flaws are personal, yours are professional. And moving on to the Geekly trivia question, which isn't a quote, it could be any random piece of trivia from who knows what. So this Geekly trivia question: which Narnia actress appeared in Halo 4, Forward and 2 Dawn? So yeah, that is the name of that franchise and Geekly, a trivia question for the week. So if you think you know the answer, you know where to post the answers naturally. So Dan, are you ready to wrap up today's episode?
Yes.
So make sure to check out our YouTube channels. The podcast is www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/separatist-destroyers. Dan's is www.youtube.com/user/Dan-Grievous-returns. And check out Theodus's website, thetheoduscrane.com. So geeks out, everyone.
Geeks out.